The fifth story of the day is about the Gillette commercial. So if you guys know Gillette, it's a razor company. I think a man's razor company. Their slogan is "a best a man can get, a best a man can get." They must have hired some real winners with liberal arts degrees in their advertising department, or who knows who's running their advertising department. But they put out like the craziest virtue signal, like completely snowflakey, embarrassing commercial ever. Like, it was so bad I almost thought it was a parody, but then I was like, okay, this is how you get me to never buy a Gillette razor again. And their target audience probably doesn't have much hair on their face if they're thinking this is going to work out for them. Anyway, they're like, the commercial's like, a best a man can get. Like, I was like, oh god, this is gonna be bad. Like, cause it's not like a best it's like a best a man can get. Are you sure? And the whole thing was like about the Me Too movement and how men and young boys need to change because they're hurting girls. And I want to explain why this is left-wing propaganda, because a lot of people will probably see this and say, anomaly. This is just a nice commercial where they're trying to stop rape and they're trying to really empower women. It's not, though. First of all, of course, like in the video, I'm not to make this racial, but you know that they were thinking about this stuff. It's mostly white men. There's like one or two black men in there, and the one black guy was like stopping the white guy, so it pushes their racial agenda where it's like, hey, stop the rapes, stop the rape, white guy. And little kids, they're like, you got to chill out. Women, they're saying, we're going to empower you. Outside of that, the main problem I have with this is in every community, whether it's black, white, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, if you're in America, you're an American, and it's happening all over the world, it's actually a war on men. It's a war on men, and in some ways a war on, Western civilization. And a lot of people will hear this and say, that's crazy, that's a conspiracy theory, it's not true. But whether they're pandering to racial communities or whether they're pandering to women, they never tell you self-accountability. They never preach self-responsibility. They never preach true strength and trying to prevent situations from happening, because certain things are real rape and people can't prevent them, for sure. There's absolutely crazy lunatic guys who are power hungry and need to be held accountable. That's true. I don't disagree with all that stuff. But they're actually, when you go to the Women's March and this type of stuff, what they're saying is like, you're always the victim. There's nothing you can do. You're weaker, yet you're stronger. Just do this, do that. It's not actually helping prevent situations. It's like driving women absolutely insane, psychologically manipulating them, messing up their head. They're thinking that they can do this or that. It's all weird stuff, but there's a war, and it's hard to really put into words sometimes, but people here probably know it. Some people don't. There's a war on Western men, and I know why. It's because no society of men would give up their guns. No society of real men would allow for all of the things that liberals are trying to allow: anti-free speech, destruction of the Constitution, using the LGBT and woman agenda to push forward socialism and communism. This wouldn't work in a society of men, strong men who, could lead their families and such. So they have to weaken men, and they're weakening men so much in so many different ways. And you look around, the good aspects of it are, yes, like toxic masculinity's down. People who are like psycho, super strong, like macho men guys who are, really just like maybe have small genitals and they're trying to make up for it or something. I get it. That is an epidemic as well. But that's not the full scoop. I'm just seeing the good aspects of it. The bad aspects of it are like, now we have like no oomph to us. We have no testosterone, and that's how you take over society. If I wanted to go to a country and like completely subvert and submit all of the people, how would I do it? I'd want to eliminate the strong people first, and in many ways that's the men. They're physically stronger. Just look at the NBA and the WNBA. It's just true. So I would, subvert the men, do exactly what the liberals are doing. Honestly, I'd have it in Gillette commercials, and I'd be like, make sure your man is ashamed of being a man. Make sure women think everything they do is right. And the problem with the Gillette commercial is rape is an epidemic in the world, and it's really rapey in certain areas, like way more rapey than it is in the United States. And Gillette is a worldwide company. You know, they sell all over the place. They're one of the biggest razor companies in the world. The whole Gillette commercial was anti-white, anti-Western man, anti-American man propaganda. It wasn't all, like, you know, you go to India, the rape epidemic is very serious. You go to many parts of the UK and Europe now, I'm not saying rape is everywhere, but there's an uptick in rape because there's certain cultures that are more rapey than Western men. I'm not saying American men and like English men can't be rapey. I'm not saying that they're incapable of rape. You have like weird frat, you know, drugging people rape culture in America and needs to be looked into. I'm not saying that, but we're not the rapiest country. I'm just going to be honest. And they want you to believe that we are, as they try to import cultures and areas of the world that have more rape problems, but they serve as a PR team for those people. So anytime you see anything liberal and it looks like, you know, you're always going to see the race thing, you're always going to see the anti-white man thing, it's not a coincidence. They really are trying to subvert the United States. And for this to be in like a razor commercial, it's just like, it was so pathetic and embarrassing. So I'm not going to use it. And I guess I'm going to wait till the last segment to get into what I was just going to say. But you can watch it for yourself. Check it out. At a certain point, I'm trying to really formulate what I'm saying. When I speak about sensitive topics, I don't like to misspeak because I know people will freak out. But it's okay to not be a manly man, but it's okay to be a manly man. And we need manly men. You know, strong men protect their families. Strong men, whether it's intellectually strong or physically strong, they do great things. You know, they outperform everyone else. That's why they're the strongest. They win. You know what I'm saying? They invented something. They, you know, can lift something that you can't lift. They can perform skills that you can't perform. It's okay to be strong. And this Gillette commercial is feeding into the liberal agenda of like weakness. Like, it's okay to be fat. It's okay to be skinny. But the truth is, you know, scientific evidence, if you're fit and muscular and work out a lot, you're way more healthy. And if you're fat, you're more prone to health risk and heart attack and major diseases. So it's okay to be fat. It's okay to be fit, but it's probably better to be fit. I think that's pretty obvious. But all the propaganda on the left now that takes over all mass media, like Gillette, they want you to think that like weakness, being really fat, being a really weak man, being, you know, a really weak woman is like somehow really impressive or virtuous. And it's really not. Like, the strongest thing you can do as a woman is protect yourself, which there's dozens of stories, millions of stories of women loving the Second Amendment because now they're able to protect themselves with no way to protect themselves. They, you know, a lot of women suffer abuse. It's a real thing. So they are anti-Second Amendment, and they won't tell you stories about women who protect themselves because they don't like strong women. They only like women to, you know, confuse themselves and try to be somebody they're not. Like, they don't, if you're a really strong woman and you do something impressive, they're not going to talk about it. It's like, oh, Trump hired a woman, you know, she did this, she did that. It's like all virtue signaling. It's like, be weak. You know, cry the victim when you went on a date with Aziz Ansari. It's like, there's people being raped. That's the scoop. It's not weird feminists who wear see-through shirts and complain on Huffington Post blogs and say that Aziz Ansari took them on a date and they hooked up and then they regretted it. Like, that's not the scoop. That's not the big deal. But stuff like Gillette, it just really bothers me because I know it's part of a bigger anti-man agenda. Because if you can subvert the men, one, I mean, you could just destroy a whole society quickly. You talk to a lot of women. I mean, I love women, but every woman I talk to, like, oh yeah, I don't have any women friends. Like, why? I thought, don't you love all women? Like, no, I hang out with more guys. I don't like women. It's like, well, it's okay, but it's like men serve their place, okay? We're not bending over and being like, here, you take everything, and we're so sorry for being strong and being the gender we are supposed to be. Like, everything is our fault, nothing is your fault. It's not cool. The Kavanaugh situation, this situation, the war on men is not going to stop, and I guess now Gillette is a part of it, so no more razors for me. The last